What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, and I hope you're all having yourselves a great start to your week. Fantastic Monday it has been. Well, later part of the night, we'll say. Enjoyed the Sixers game, but spent most of my day at the doctor's trying to get that ear thing still figured out. You guys remember from last season, so been great. Can't wait to go back tomorrow, get more blood work done, but got me on steroids, so make me feel a little weird today. So I try to actually get most of this work done while there today. So it's been a wild one, but I hope you're all having a great start to your week. It's going to be an intriguing one for me, but we are keeping this free agent and trade target series rolling all the way up until the legal tampering period begins. And that will be on the 14th. And we'll be going through it all the way up until then. And I cannot wait. And then the 16th at 4:00, it begins, baby. So I cannot wait for free agency, but as I've said in each video, I truly don't think the Eagles are going to go too big into it. We might get a big name or two, to be honest with you. I think if you've been listening to any of these shows, we will do that. And if you've been paying attention for the last year, we talked about having this money to spend this year. So we're going to spend that money. We're going to have cap space, draft picks. It's going to be so much fun. But we're going through every position. Gives us a way to look at the Eagles tight end position right now, or each position, each video we go through. Let us know what we have and maybe what we're looking to add in free agency, maybe through trade, or if we should focus on the draft. So let's take a gander at what the Philadelphia Eagles have first before we jump into this. But we know that Dallas Goedert is now tight end one. This is why you got rid of Zach Ertz last year. We talked about it. People were going crazy, but talked about, well, you might just let him walk because this year he is a free agent. So we got something in return. Love it. Had that cap space. Love that. But this year, Dallas Goedert going into this year, tight end one. It's his job. Let's go. But we're going to use 12, 13 personnel where you're seeing 2, 3 tight ends out there. So you got to have some other guys here. We know that is something we like to do. Tyree Jackson, what a great story. I mean, looked great in the offseason, converting from quarterback to tight end, but had that injury. Now we don't know if he's going to be back. I believe it was ACL. So, I mean, he's a guy that's really, really intriguing, but you have no idea. So I would definitely be focused on the tight end position during the draft. But if you want to add a veteran, I definitely think that is possible this year. So we're going to take a look. But you've got Jack Stoll. Really liked him as that H-back kind of guy. I think you could see him more in that role this year. Definitely getting his feet under him. He was an undrafted kid. So, I mean, I really like his promise, but you got to have more than that. Noah Togiai, we talked about him coming back from the Colts. I love that. We liked him when he was here originally. So it's some very young promise in the tight end room for the Eagles. You got Richard Rodgers there. We love his veteran. If he wants to stick around, I'd love that. But I would not be mad at an upgrade. And I really think in the draft, pair somebody with Dallas Goedert, that'd be all right with some of these other guys. And then you got Kroom at the bottom there. We've talked about restricted free agent. We know the rules there. I think if someone gives him an offer, we're probably not going to match it. But if you want to bring him back for some competition, I am all for it. But that is a look at the Eagles tight ends. Now, let's take a gander at some of these free agent tight ends. And I'm going to give you the list of every single free agent from undrafted to unrestricted to restricted. Sorry, I told you it's been a long day, but we're going to give you them all. But I'm going to give you first some 10 names to look at and then 5 trade targets. So some names to look at, and then you can have the whole damn list and decide yourself. So let me know, are there some names you're looking at here? Who do you think would fit for the Eagles? Let me know what you're thinking here, guys. But I'm going to go through this and get this bad boy rolling. So up first, CJ Uzuma. Now, this dude, he had himself quite the relationship there. I mean, we all know the receiving core they have there. And Joe Burrow, the kid's phenomenal. But, having a tight end like Uzuma was really good for him. He can do it all. He's a good blocker. He can, obviously he's a good receiver. And I think someone like him probably wants to stay in Cincinnati, but we'll see what Cincinnati decides to do. If they want to upgrade that position, I definitely think they could do that. There are definitely some big names out here. So regardless, if this dude's available, that's not something I'm against. But I think the way he played, he could maybe be looking for a bigger role. We shall see. But that's just a name that stuck out to me. And I'm not going to just give you the top names here because I don't think people are going to come here that are the top names because they want to be paid top money. We're not looking for a tight end to pay top money. So that's why you're not going to see some of the top names. Now, Robert Tanyan obviously had that injury last year, but still 27 years old. He obviously was an undrafted kid. I think he was with the Lions first, but he's a dude that obviously has been compared to Gronk. He's a big boy, dude, out of Indiana State. 6'5", 240 pounds. He can do some work. So you bring in a guy like him, I would be all about it. Now, I have no idea. I know that the Packers are in a tough spot with their cap situation. No idea if they bring back Rodgers. What's going on with Devontae? So we'll see where they spend their money. But this dude is a free agent. So we'll see what is decided there. Now, up next, O.J. Howard. A really good tight end. Everybody really had high hopes for this kid, and obviously coming out of Alabama, first round pick, he had very high hopes, but, played 5 years. And obviously with Gronk and Brait there in Tampa Bay, that didn't help his case. So maybe a change of scenery would give this kid the spot he needs where he can shine. And I think, coming in to a team that uses 12 personnel, I would be more than okay with a guy that might not demand as much money because he hasn't really done much. And you see last year didn't do too much, played in all 17 games, but only started 9. But you see, only had 14 catches. So these are guys that I think the Eagles could try to convince to come here, and could find themselves a role, and we'll see. But up next, Max Williams. I think this dude, in Baltimore, he got traded from there and finally got a chance in Arizona, was shining last year, had 5 games in which he started all of them, was looking real good. And then he gets hurt. So that's why the Cardinals traded for Zach Ertz. We talked about a team would probably become needy. We didn't want to see anyone get hurt, but it happened. Now you got Max Williams, a free agent. So maybe the Eagles make a move for a guy like him, a tough dude that can block. He can do all the things you'd want from a second tight end. So I would be all about adding someone like Max Williams. Up next, Gerald Everett. Now this dude, I really like Gerald Everett. I think that obviously, in his 5 years hasn't been the greatest, with the Rams. Then he went to the Seahawks last year. But I think he's stood out at times to me where perfect tight end too. And I think he would just fit in perfectly fine here. Former second-round pick out of South Alabama. So he's got the skill set. You never know what a change of scenery you could do for someone. And Russell Wilson was hurt for a lot last year. So when he came back, Everett started doing a lot better. So those numbers would be even higher. But regardless, he is a free agent. And I think that is somebody the Eagles could keep an eye on if you could get a veteran for cheap. Up next, Tyler Conklin got to see some time due to injury, 26-year-old kid, and he's got some talent, man. He started 15 of those games, and he can do it all. He's a tough dude, and you're kind of seeing the narrative here, kind of the tougher dudes in here that I want to see as a second tight end for the Eagles. So I look, Tyler Conklin coming into his 5th year, I would be all for adding this young man, former 5th-round pick. So, yeah, Adam, I wouldn't be mad at all. Now, up next, this is more of a receiving tight end, but we all know Atlanta, Matt Ryan does not like to throw to tight ends. So Hayden Hurst goes from Baltimore to Atlanta, hoping he'll see some time. They go ahead and draft Pitts there. So I really think, this dude has seen raw end of the deal here. So maybe he goes somewhere he could shine. I don't know if he would come to the Eagles, but just a name I thought would maybe be on the cheap. Now, these last 2 names I think are more realistic and more hopeful to me that we would sign them. Alie-Cox, one of those dudes that's been converted from basketball to football. And even if you go to his page when I was doing this earlier, he's got like a basketball picture on his like Wikipedia, I think it was. So, I mean, the dude goes up and gets it, but he can block. He can do a lot of things. And I think those things are being refined. He's played 5 years. I think, when you are someone that's undrafted, you obviously have a lot more work to do. And the people that have been doing that work with him for a lot of the time are on this coaching staff. So maybe you bring in a Alie-Cox. I think he'd be perfect for, a tight end too. I really think this dude would be the perfect tight end to pick up. And I think he could definitely be someone the Eagles have their eye on with the familiarity there. So we shall see. And then up next, James O'Shaughnessy from Jacksonville. This dude, started in Kansas City, but he is really not somebody that jumps off the page here. Like, why the hell would you bring him up? But he's a veteran, man. He's been playing for 7 years. He gets it done. He's a tough dude who can block. He does what is needed. He can catch the damn ball. I really think he's got all the traits. He's just kind of average at everything, and that's okay because not looking for a tight end 1 here. We have a tight end 1. Now, last on the list here was just throwing an old man River in here who was just cut the other day by the Giants. Maybe rub it in their face, bringing a guy who we know is a good damn blocker, but he's a decent receiver as well. He had to actually step in and do that last year because of Evan Ingram being hurt and other things, whatever. But, Kyle Rudolph, still dependable, coming into his 12th season. So I don't know, maybe he retires, but that's just somebody I wanted to throw on the list to keep your eye on. Now, I'm just going to show you every damn tight end there is. So you're going to see some names and wonder, why didn't you put that guy on there? Well, as I mentioned, I am not talking about the top tight ends available because there's a lot better than the names I just mentioned. I just wanted to talk about some of the more realistic ones for the Eagles. But you see, guys like Mike Gesicki probably getting franchise tag per Mike K. Then you also had, I think the other day or maybe yesterday, David Njoku also, which Mike K had talked about, those guys getting franchise tags. So you'll see a lot of that stuff happening. But maybe Dalton Schultz, we'll see what happens with him. But Dallas probably try to retain him. But you've got names out there. Gronk, is he going to retire without Tom Brady? Time will tell. But Zach Ertz, probably looking for big time money. And this is why we talked about last year, why you get rid of him if you have the chance. And we did just that. But he's a free agent now. He can choose whatever he wants. And I know a lot of people, I'll bring him back. Look, I'd love to have him back. But he's still one of the premier tight ends, and he's looking for that premier money. We've got our tight end one. It's just not a situation we wanted to have. We got out of it. We're not going right back into it. But you see quite a handful of good names on that list, but you've got even more. Evan Ingram, up and down career. We all know that, but he could still definitely provide something for you. You've got some guys we already mentioned, and Jeff Swaim's on there. Tyler Croft. Those are guys I could definitely see. Jesse James, maybe a little revitalization back in Pennsylvania, the old Penn Stater. But we shall see if we add any of these guys. Like I said, I would definitely keep my eye during this draft. But you've got guys, Derek Carrier, Blake Bell, Anthony Fersker. All these guys could step in and definitely provide something. And Jimmy Graham as well. I mean, he's still Old Man River, but he goes up and gets it. There's so many names that I wouldn't be against bringing in for competition, but I will stress over and over again, draft. But doesn't need to be high end. I'm just saying I would definitely get younger there. Regardless, love the promise of some of those guys on that list. Now, this is continued unrestricted tight end free agents. So you see that there is a plethora of options. Jordan Akins on there, Chris Herndon. Maybe he gets the right opportunity and shows out. Ricky Seals-Jones, Michael Pruitt. I mean, there are a lot of available free agent tight ends. So if you're looking for some depth, you don't want to go in the draft, there are definitely a lot of names here. Then you have a few restricted guys. We know that those guys, how that works. I don't know why it says unrestricted, whatever, but they're restricted. And if you need to try to get one of those guys, I highly doubt it. The team can match it. You guys know the drill. But yes, that is the list of all of the free agent tight ends. Now we're going to keep it moving with some trade candidates. Once again, I'm doing this for every position. So I'm just going to be throwing names at you and talk about, if it's possible, what I think about it. So this doesn't mean this is what I want to happen. Again, I don't think we should be using any draft capital to trade for anyone because, well, I think you could just go in the draft and get yourself a depth tight end. So we shall see. But no, a lot of people like to talk about certain things. So we're going to talk about them. Austin Hooper, first up. You know, it's hard to tell what a tight end could look like because Baker Mayfield is not very good. So you've got Austin Hooper. He's got 3 years left on his contract. I think there's a void year after this year, but $13.25 million cap hit. I'm good on that. I don't think I want that. He's a decent tight end with a lot of promise, but no, and no again, because that's no $13 million. We just got rid of Zach Ertz because of money like that. We're not spending it there. We're giving it to Dallas Goedert, which we did. And we know what we're doing for the future. So a lot of these things, you see off the wall stuff, just want to address it. But I mean, kid was a 3rd round pick for a reason. He is definitely good, but I'm okay on making that move right now. Then you see someone like Cameron Brate. We already talked about OJ Howard being a free agent. We'll see if they bring him back. The same essence of Austin Hooper. They brought Njoku back and franchise tagged him in Cleveland. So maybe they want to keep him and drop Hooper. Well, maybe they bring back OJ Howard. Maybe Gronk, for some reason, wants to stay in Tampa without Tom Brady. And maybe they want to move Cameron Brate. Now, he's got a $7.285 million cap hit, which pretty decent, but 4 years remaining. He's a 30-year-old dude with some experience, but this is a name I've seen people talk about. I'm good on that. I think he'd be a great player to have on the roster, but I do not want to trade for that contract with the direction we are headed in. So another name I'm good on. One I've also seen mentioned, Jack Doyle. Look, I like Jack Doyle. I do. Carson Wentz did not give him the fair end of the deal. I think half the time I thought he could have been used a lot more, but regardless, whatever the reasoning was, he's only got 1 year remaining, $6.2 million cap hit. I'm good on that as well. I think they could release him. I read something, maybe it was yesterday or something, but it was about Jack Doyle and the fact that they could just release him. So if he gets released, well, then he's a free agent and you can sign him. So do not think you need to go out of your way to trade for him. That's all I'm saying there. What is going on, my man, Drew? Nice to see you, dude. Just going through this free agent and trade talk series. And now we're almost done with the offense. Tomorrow, we will be going through the running backs, and then it's on to defense and special teams. And that's going to be fun because we know we need to address these spots definitely in the draft. But we're going to talk about these free agents because there's definitely going to be some signings. So let's get into the last two trade targets, possibly. We'll see. And once again, I don't think the Eagles should be doing this, but we're going to do this for every position just for something to talk about. So, Drew Sample, this is a guy that is very intriguing to me because, look, we talked about Uzuma earlier being a free agent. I think, obviously, if they try to bring him back or upgrade, maybe this kid, and look, Drew Sample to me is a very intriguing name. I think this is one of the guys I was looking at where it's like, hey, you know what? If you could get him for dirt cheap, 6th, 7th rounder, maybe, you could convince me because this is a former 2nd round dude. And I really think that in the right situation, he could definitely, and he's a great blocker. I think he would be perfect. So if you don't have to give up too much, maybe on draft day, they want Andre Dillard or something, you can convince them to give us Drew Sample and a 3rd round pick or something. I'm all about it, dude. Whatever you got to do it, man. But yeah, I think he would be a great addition to the team. And then this one's a little bit of a wild card here. Wild card. Devin Asiasi. Now, this young man got a lot of talent. Liked him in the draft a couple years ago. And the stats you're seeing here are not last year's stats as you see for everyone else, but his combined career last 2 years. And he only played in one game last year and had 0 stats. So that's why you see the combination here. Kid really hasn't gotten a chance to play. And Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith being brought in last year really puts a damper on this kid's growth and what he could do. And look, I know they like to use 12 and 13 personnel as well, but this kid is really not being utilized. And he's somebody that's a jack of all trades, man. I really think if you keep working on his blocking, refine his skill tree, like his route running, all the things but he has that talent, man. He's got the thing you can't teach. So at 6'3", 257, I think this dude is going to be a sleeper. One of those kids is he's going to pan out in the right spot. But maybe, the Patriots move on or restructure, do something, with their tight ends and trade him. And then you give this kid a shot. I don't know. But this was just a random name I wanted to throw out there as a possible. Maybe you could trade a late round pick for him. I don't know. I mean, sometimes teams are ready to move on and they think a kid needs a different change of scenery, whatever the hell it is. I'm all about it. So former 3rd round pick, again, just, finding himself at the bottom of the depth chart. So names I wanted to throw in there. But that's all I've got for you this evening, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you're all having a great Monday. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any thoughts you want to leave me with on this free agent and trade target series, whether it's about the tight ends, you can go back, check out the other videos. So far, we've got wide receiver, offensive line, and quarterback. Tomorrow, we will be doing running back. Then it is on to defense and special teams. And then before you know it, free agency is here, baby. So I cannot wait for that, ladies and gentlemen, but going to keep you in tune with all of it. You have any questions, any comments, you can always comment down below. Reach out to me on any of these platforms. Whether you want to talk about birds, you want to talk about life, here for you guys as you are for me. So I appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your night. And as always, go Birds!